Say bye.
Bye.
This is December the 28th, 1981. Aunt Thelma's going to tell us all about the Franklin family tree. She is sitting down at the end of the table, in case you don't know her. Smile, Aunt Thelma.
Jumped out of the tree.
And next to her is next to the oldest sister that knows nothing.
You're my oldest one, not my next one.
I mean, but I'm the oldest sister in that family.
And on my right is my youngest brother, who probably doesn't know, or knows more than the both of us put together.
And what he does know, he's going to find out. Because he's going up to New Orleans. We're going to go visit family history.
Thank you. You have to talk loud, so where do you want to start?
Well, you have to ask me questions. I don't know where to start. We were talking about...
Well, I think maybe, since I was a mistake to the family, late addition, I would like to know where each one of my sisters and brothers was born.
And since you
I think you
started...
started further back. I think I'd like to know where Grandpa was born.
Well, now, see, I don't know that. I know where Mother was born. Mother was born up on the old McMaster place. But I don't know.
Am I wrong, Kevin?
Right.
I was born in?
Right.
There was no wrong, Kevin.
Mother was born right there. And Daddy was born up around Hebron. And I think that's up towards Ford's Ferry. But
Just Kentucky, Missouri.
no, Kentucky. They were originally from, they've always been Kentucky. They just moved to Missouri when Granddaddy Franklin moved to Missouri and walked down in what they call Bitter Wolf Swamps then, between Bell City and Oregon. And Daddy moved out there, Daddy and Mother, when I was 2 months old. And okay, so and then you want to know, and I was born in the old Franklin house, Tulip, Kentucky, big old brick house.
Uncle John's.
Daddy worked for Uncle John Franklin, and he had worked there for him for several years, I don't know how many. Married, and Daddy and Mother went there to live, and I was born there. When I was 2 months old, they moved to Missouri with Granddaddy Franklin. We lived in what they call a 4-room bungalow at that time.
At that time, did you have money? Sometime you said you all had money. I never had.
Well, we were not rich, but we were comfortably well off.
And how did you go to Missouri?
I don't know.
You were
I was 2 months old.
Weren't you a little
I
kid?
don't remember that. And then,
Now, did everybody live on what's this? New Wolf Swamp?
right, well, now,
Grandpa?
Grandmother and Granddaddy Franklin, Grandmother Franklin designed the house that they lived in. She designed it and they built it, and it was one of the few things that I heard my mother say contrary to what anybody had done, but she thought that Grandmother sure made a bad mistake in some of the design of that house. She would have designed it differently. And but the house that we lived in, I think the people who had owned this place before had lived there, and it was what was called a 4-room bungalow. And it was a square house, and every room was square. You know, and it was, but it was nice, you know, particularly for those days. There was a patch of woods out in front of our house, and Daddy, there was a stump out there, and Daddy took a plank, I don't know the size of it, I was, you know, because I can't remember when we moved there or whatever, but I can remember growing up there.
How long did you live there?
Well, we lived there, I went my first year to school there.
That's a long as you ever did.
And,
So Johnny was born there.
right,
Okay, now they were farmers.
right. And
Did they buy or did Grandpa Franklin buy? And what had Grandpa Franklin been doing?
well, in Kentucky, he farmed. And, no, and I don't know how many acres was in that either. But, and then, see, Daddy had a younger sister, Aunt Kitty, and her husband, Uncle D, lived on up above us. Here was the big house. Grandmother and Granddaddy lived here. And we lived on up here. And then on up above us, Uncle D and Aunt Kitty lived. And that house was not, now Granddaddy bought all of this land. And that house was not completed. It was a new house. It was not completed. And they completed it after they moved in there. And, but what I wanted to tell, and you won't let me tell it, is this stuff over here in front of this house. Daddy took a plank and he made some handles like, across each end, and put got a great big old bolt and bored a hole in there. And of course, I don't know how he did it, but somewhere or other, and he made us a seesaw. And Johnny and I,
probably intended to see
he might have, but anyway, we'd go out there and seesaw, and of course Mother would go and with us, and we could only seesaw, but somehow that thing would go around, and Mother would push us, around. Granddaddy and Grandmother Franklin had a little country store, and of course that's where we bought our groceries and everything, and Uncle Allen Franklin worked in the store a lot. Uncle Allen was kind of lazy. The rest of us had to work, and Uncle Allen kind of worked in the store. And one time I went down to the store, and Grandmother waited on me.